Hey, Dr. Don here, and I want to talk to you for a couple of minutes here on this video about some addictions that you have never heard of before. So let's get the obvious ones out of the way. We've all heard of drug addiction, alcohol addiction, gambling addiction, pornography or sex addiction. Is a term that some people accept, some people don't, whatever, but let's put on the list. And then we start getting off into the fringe of shopping addiction and workaholism and other things like that are we sort of go nudge nudge, wink wink, and they're kind of socially acceptable, but maybe it's a problem actually. But I want to add a couple more to get you thinking and kind of provoke you to thinking and provoke you to leave some comments. Hey, I love the idea, I hate the idea, whatever. Bring all the comments on, and subscribe to the channel while you're at it, so you get more of these questions, provocative questions. So to add to the list, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a really quick story. I remember where I've sort of learned about a pattern in myself that if I have a kind of a big thing coming up, like a big presentation or a big deadline or something that I'm a little bit anxious or worried about, I'm anxious or worried about that thing. And then when it comes up and when it gets accomplished and the deadline passes, I experience a moment of relief and go, wow, oh, it's so good to be done that thing, or to be crossed that, cross that thing off my list, or do that interview or write that paper if you're a student. And I enjoy that for a moment. And then this crazy thing happens in my mind, and I don't think I'm the only person that has this. My mind starts to scan the future, looking for the next thing to be anxious about. And so my mind sort of starts going, well, okay, but then there's that thing that is due a week away, or there's that presentation, or there's that tough conversation that is that I'm going to have next Thursday. My mind is actually looking around for the next thing to get anxious about. What the heck is that? I want to suggest to you that that is an addiction to the hormones of stress. It's an addiction to anxiety, in this case, anxiety. But when you extend that, there's other kinds of what I'm actually going to call addictions that sort of fit into the same pattern. I know some folks that are essentially addicted to crisis and chaos, that they would say that, well, it just happens to me, but any observer watching their life would go, you're kind of creating it. I know some folks that are apparently addicted to anger. They just seem to manage to find things to get pissed off about. And they're experiencing the same world, the same universe that you and I are experiencing, but how come they find the things to get angry about, and they get angry about them? And at the end of the day, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. And if it has the same pattern and tendencies as conventional addictions, then we gotta call it an addiction. So I'm talking about addictions because addictions are really closely related to unresolved trauma. And I'm a trauma specialist and expert. I've got a book coming out very soon called The Trauma Treatment Companion. And what we know from current neuroscience research and trauma treatment is these addictions, from the ones that everybody knows about, drugs, alcohol, gambling, to the ones that I'm naming here, are they're ways that we numb out, the ways that we distract ourselves, the ways that we sort of find refuge for our soul, if you can kind of handle that language. Away from the trauma, we sort of seek refuge in this familiar thing: anxiety, anger, chaos, and crisis. So trauma and addiction are really tightly connected, we know now. And so if you find yourself with a a conventional addiction or an unconventional addiction like I'm describing here, um, maybe it's unresolved trauma. And maybe that's the way that you're going to get free from that addiction. Hey, thanks for listening to this short 5-minute video. I'd love to hear your comments, good, bad, or indifferent. Love for you to subscribe to the channel so that you get more of these hopefully provocative questions and answers.